Hello guys, here we are. Before continuing, remember we have been looking at the kick, and we will continue to see how to write a drum set which is correct but also winning. Before doing this, it's important that we go and understand a very important element which is going to accompany us and help us throughout the whole academy. This element we will try and explain to you through other elements, through very important means. And this element is the M.A.T mix room. And as you can see, the M.A.T mix room is represented by a room, by a limited space, a closed space. Okay, and let's begin looking at this concept of closed space, limited space. And why? Because music, because of how it is transferred, it is blocked inside a limited space. Let's look at the limits and understand what they are, how they are drawn, and how they are defined. So let's begin to understand that music has a known limited space, in which we have to learn how to introduce elements in the correct way. So, this space is limited by what? The limits are the ceiling, let's call it that, we're in a room, the floor, the side walls, a wall in the back, and a wall up front. Inside this limited space, this three-dimensional space, all of our sounds must be placed. Now, let's define the limits of this room. We said that it has a front limit and a limit at the back. These limits are defined by volume. A sound that will have a very low volume, it's a sound that I'm going to hear way in the back. It's going to be near the back wall. A sound that is going to have a very high volume is a sound that I will perceive up front. So, as the back wall is the minimum perceptible volume, so it will be the limit of the human ear to perceive sound, the highest perceivable volume is dictated by this wall, by this block, beyond which it cannot go, and it's the maximum sound pressure that a sound is able to obtain. We'll understand this better in the lesson of Mix and Master. But for now, high volume up front, low volume more in the back. Okay? Let's see this sideways, because it's going to help us understand better. Here it is. As you can see, a low volume sound will be here, and a high volume sound will be up here in front. So, now we understood the volume. Let's go look at and explain another variable, the variable of frequency, which is defined by what? By the ceiling of our room and by the floor. So it is again a closed space, beyond which there is no sound. Or better, not perceivable to the human ear. The frequencies for the human ear are perceivable on a sound spectrum that goes between 20 Hertz, which can also depend on an ear which is young or less young, up to 20,000 Hertz. Okay, we, in this sound spectrum, human beings, have the capacity and the opportunity of hearing sounds. The lower sounds, the ones which are nearer to 20 Hertz, are perceived by the floor. And beyond that, they're not perceivable. The sounds, in turn, with higher frequencies, are sounds that, if we make it a habit of listening to music with our eyes closed, you're going to notice that the high frequencies, you perceive them higher, in a higher position, as if they were placed higher with respect to lower sounds, sounds of a lower frequency, which are perceived, they're heard in a lower position. And so, the limits between up and down are defined by frequencies. Okay? Another limit is defined by the sidewalls. Okay? The sidewalls are limited and defined by the pan. Sounds can be placed more to the left, more to the right, or central. Okay? Here it is. It's very simple. Pan left, I will hear the sounds on the left side of the room. Pan right, more on the right. Now that we understand these concepts, let's go and see how we begin to place our sound elements. Today with the kick, because we started with a kick, but we'll enrich it with all the other sounds, on how a kick will be represented inside our M.A.T mix room. And so here we have our kick, which, if you remember, we've been speaking constantly about lower frequencies. For our kick, it's an element that lives in low frequencies. Where will it be? It will be placed down low, certainly not up here. So it will be down here. We also said that the kick is an important element, fundamental. It will be then very much up front. It depends on the genre, of course. A genre like pop, acoustic, will be more in the back, while something like electronic or techno will be more up front. And obviously, the frequencies, the roundness of the frequencies, up to where it is able to reach, will be defined by the space of frequencies it can cover. The kick goes in the middle. Unless our piece has some particular passages full of creativity and maybe a little bit of fantasy, we want to make a fill by moving it a little bit. Fantasy, okay. But in the heart of our song, the kick goes in the middle. And this is how it's represented. Let's also look at it from above. This is our kick inside our sound space. So specifically regarding the kick. Now imagine as we go forward with our course that you will learn to write all the drums. You will learn to write the bass. You will learn to write the harmonics, the voice, all these elements. All these elements will be present in the room, as you will see in this part of this video. And so, thanks to the design of this course, we will teach you how to place, with the right techniques, every sound in its right space, to have a final mix that is always clean and clear.